Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. As today we got another episode of reviewing NHL teams off season so far. As today we got the Montreal Canadiens, as we're going to be talking about their, I gotta say, quite an amazing off season for this team. They made a lot of moves, a lot of trades, a lot of drafting. They didn't do too much for their signings, but there's a lot of trades to talk about, and honestly, I'm quite excited to get into with the Montreal Canadiens because there's a lot to kind of dissect, lots to talk about. So before we get into all this, I like to just say, if you are new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that like button as well. It'll be very much appreciated there, boys. So let's get into this bad one here with the Montreal Canadiens. As, like I was saying, they had, this of course was the worst team in the NHL this past season. They really just did not play very good, and, they got the first overall selection, and we all know who they selected. I think everyone knows, and that's Yarov Slavkovsky, which, let's just jump right into the draft. I think that's, the most important part when we're talking about a rebuilding team is their draft, and I got to say, this draft was fucking amazing for the Montreal Canadiens, man. And I mean, that's what you kind of get out of guys like Kent Hughes and Jeff Gorton as well. You guys got two amazing managers that really are great at drafting, and they did amazing. Okay, so Slavkovsky, probably one of the better players out of the draft, without a doubt. Shane Wright was showing, some worries, but Slavkovsky just showed that type of game where he looks like he's NHL ready. Very similar to like a Rick Nash. Very big, stocky. He's not going to hit you a ton, but my God, does he ever have a fucking reach like he's Zdeno Chara, man. He has a very, very big reach. Played really well in the Olinka Gretzky Cup, did really well there in the Liga, just showed his maturity without a doubt. He's a big boy at 6'4", 218 pounds. He's a big guy, and honestly, I think he's going to fit right into the core, right? You have a top line already with Caulfield and Suzuki. I think you could definitely find yourself a better center. I think Nick Suzuki is good, but I don't think he's going to be your top line guy. I think you definitely need to find maybe somebody else. But you already got Cole Caulfield, who's your top line guy. Once you find that, that big center, I think you're going to have a really good top line of Slavkovsky, Caulfield, and then whoever else is going to be that center most likely in this upcoming draft. Whether it be Bedard or Fantelli, I think those are going to be kind of the two guys most likely the Montreal Canadiens will most likely be targeting. Philip Mazar, also a good buddy with Yarov Slavkovsky, has some great playmaking ability. Played quite well there in the Slovak League. Played alongside of Slavkovsky there during, I think it was the World Juniors, the Olinka Gretzky Cup, on the same kind of power play. 8 points in 5 games, showed some really good upside. Another great selection. Owen Beck, not a bad selection either. And Lane Hudson, I love Lane Hudson. I so badly wanted the Edmonton Oilers to select this guy at our first round pick, because this guy shows some really good upside. This is kind of like a very close comp to Torrey Krug, of course, but also to Quinn Hughes. He has some amazing offensive upside. I mean, his offensive abilities there in the university program for fucking amazing. 63 points in 60 games in the USHL. He had 32 points in 27 games in the World Juniors. He had 8 points in 6 games. I mean, this guy has some really good upside. His skating is definitely something to be worked on, but my God, does he just have amazing vision? Definitely not amazing defensively, but this guy is a future offensive defenseman that honestly could throw up 60 points per season, maybe even more than that, and that would absolutely be stellar for the Montreal Canadiens. He's a smaller guy, but I would have a lot of hope in the Montreal Canadiens. I think this guy is absolutely amazing and is going to be a really, really good defenseman in the future here. So let's get into the trades, because there's a list full of trades that we got to talk about. Of course, the very first one is where they picked up Evgeny Danov for Shea Weber. They sent off Shea Weber to the Vegas Golden Knights, mostly for LTIR. I think the Montreal Canadiens weren't really concerned about the LTIR room, because most likely they just want to kind of eat up cap. They don't want LTIR room. They already got that kind of a Carey Price as well, as he's going to be out for majority of the season, so he'll be taking up most of that LTIR room, which will put them inside the cap as well. And then most likely Drouin might be on the LTIR as well. I don't know if he's going to be healthy or not for this season, but I know Sean Monahan will be ready for the season. But Evgeny Danov, Romanov, I mean, good player. Most likely will be traded for picks. And honestly, last year of his contract, he submits a 10-team no trade list. And if he, produces a decent amount of points, this could fetch him, a decent amount of picks for this upcoming draft. So I really like the move. Then the Montreal Canadiens, they picked up Frank Nazar, which that was the first round pick that got sent off to Chicago in the move where they picked up Kirby Dach. But they traded away Romanov, which Romanov wasn't really showing. I mean, he was showing some upside, showing that he could be a really good defenseman in the future. But quite honestly, when you could, reverse a first round pick that you got from that and a third for Kirby Dach, honestly, I'm taking that move any day of the week. If you're getting called up for Kirby Dach and you're like, hey, we just want like a top 15 pick, I am without a doubt trying to make a move with the Islanders to try to get this type of player, because honestly, Romanov's good, but not as good as a Kirby Dach that you could possibly pick up and play up in the top 6. I mean, Kirby Dach is a big guy. He could be your second line centerman without a doubt. He's showed some really good upside before. Once you get him signed to a contract, this could be a really, really good player for the Montreal Canadiens moving forward, and I really am a big fan of the move. The second one here was Matheson being sent off with a 4th round pick for Jeff Petrie and Ryan Falling. Falling wasn't looking too great. I mean, he showed some decent upside, but wasn't really panning out. Jeff Petrie had kind of a rough season here with the Montreal Canadiens, but still showed, some really good play, and they picked up Matheson in a 4th. Quite honestly, Matheson is really good as well. He's a really good defenseman. And most likely, I see them keeping him. I think Matheson's kind of a fan of the Canadiens. I think he's from Quebec, if I'm correct as well. Yeah, from Montreal, Quebec, so he's a hometown boy. I can see them honestly keeping Matheson because at the contract that he's at, he plays as a really good top 4 D-man. He had a really good bounce-back season this past year playing alongside of Christopher Letang. He was okay defensively. He definitely does do a little bit more offensively than he does play defensively. So, honestly, I see Matheson and Jeff Petrie as the same, but you're getting like a younger Jeff Petrie here and Michael Matheson. So, honestly, I see the move as a dub here for the Montreal Canadiens. And in this fucking crazy deal where they got Sean Monahan and a conditional first, which I'm not going to go over all the conditions, because that trade is confusing, but I see it as a W in general for the Montreal Canadiens because you get, a guaranteed first, whether it be in 2025 or I think it's 2024 as well. You could get either or 2026, I think it falls back to. But either or, you get a first round pick and maybe an extra pick if the stipulations kind of fall towards you. So, honestly, a good move for the Montreal Canadiens. Honestly, every move that they did here was good. They changed Romanov into Kirby Dach, great move. They traded Jeff Petrie to get Michael Matheson, great move. And they got Sean Monahan in a first round pick. Honestly, I see every pick very much the same. Kirby Dach, of course, I see this one as a very much of a dub. But I see these two defensemen being very similar, just one's younger. So honestly, that hands you the dub in general. And then Monahan in the first, that's an easy dub right there. I mean, you're just getting handed that. So really awesome moves. I really loved them all. And then not very much from free agency, Martin Blow, who will probably be your starting goalie this upcoming season, which is not ideal. $1 million for 2 years, good move. And then Rem Pitlick as well. At a 2-year contract for 1.1. I really was a big fan of Rem Pitlick this past season. I really liked the way that he played. Really liked him in Minnesota Wild, so I really am a big fan of him when he went over to the Canadiens. Played really well defensively, showed some offensive upside, so pretty good pickup there. Pretty good re-signing there by the Montreal Canadiens. So otherwise, honestly, pretty good offseason here for the Montreal Canadiens. You really look at the way that they did the rebuild. Kent Hughes had an amazing first draft. I got to give him that. That was like an A-plus type of draft. Getting Slavkovsky. Messer was amazing back. They even did some good picks later on in the draft. And Lane Hudson, I think, was also a steal in this draft as well. Without a doubt, I think he's going to be an amazing future defenseman for the Montreal Canadiens. So, I still see this team as a rebuilding team, without a doubt. Like, this is, they have some decent upside forwards with Kirby Dach if he resigns with the team and comes back healthy. I think this team could really be good, in the fact that they're going to be pretty bad in the rebuilding stage. But I don't know, man. I think that the moves that they're making is really positive going towards next year, and I think they're kind of accelerating the rebuild. You trade away a lot of the guys in Dadonov, maybe try to get rid of Dvorak this upcoming season. Same with maybe even Gallagher. You try to trade away a lot of these guys that you can maybe get rid of and get some more cap. So when you make those big draft picks again next year, and I mean, the next year's draft is going to look absolutely amazing with Fantella. You got Bedard and Mitchkov. So if you were to select any three of those guys, you're well set up with Slafkovsky, Caulfield, and then one of those three guys. I mean, you're going to be really, really set up for the future. You maybe draft some future defensemen because, I mean, I don't see a whole lot of future defensemen. I know a lot of Canadiens fans have been really a big fan of Caden Goulet, but I'm not too sure about Caden Goulet, to be quite honest. I don't mind him. He's okay, but I'm not too sure if he's going to be that top pairing defenseman that the Montreal Canadiens fans are really believing that he might be. I just don't see that, to be quite honest with you. It might be a hot take, but quite honestly, I don't see either Logan Malix or Caden Goulet being top two defensemen for the Montreal Canadiens. So I still think they need to find somebody that is going to be that future top two guy for the Montreal Canadiens. Whether that might be next draft or the draft after that. I still think there's two strong rebuilding seasons here for the Montreal Canadiens before they ever really start changing the gears towards start being a better team, unless, you know, Kent Hughes makes a genius trade picking up a top two defenseman, which would be absolutely amazing. But it's going to be another rough year for the Montreal Canadiens fans. It's going to be another long rebuilding season, but that's what happens when sometimes you just sign a lot of bad contracts and, you know, you start getting, you know, a lot of big injuries. So for now, guys, I'm gonna end the video here, but before I do, I'm gonna give a grade on this offseason. Honestly, I give them a fucking A+. This is an easiest A+ I could probably hand out to a team. There's nothing really to complain about with a rebuild. With a rebuild like this, you know, the biggest thing is not signing dumb contracts, not doing dumb trades, not trading away any of your younger players, and honestly, every move that they did make was really well. They improved in every single caliber of this team, so I'm a real big fan of what the Montreal Canadiens did. But for now, guys, I'm going to end the video here. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Make sure to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button as well, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Adios, amigos.